What is going on, everybody? This is S Trades, and today's video we're doing another weekly recap of all the trades that I took starting from January 12th to January 15th. And without further ado, let's get straight into the video. So this week actually was pretty good for me. I had 3 dubs, one break-even day, and one L day. But unfortunately, the L day was kind of big, so I'm not that much up in profits. But I'm gonna go over all the details in what I took, what I did wrong, what mistakes I did, and there's a lot of things that could be taken out from this week lesson because I've done some mistakes that I haven't done in a while, and I feel like a lot of this is gonna be very helpful to you guys. So let's start off with Monday, right? So this is the bias that we had. I wrote I was bullish on the higher time frame, but I first expected to see price come down, take out all of this low risk liquidity that was built overnight below. We did also inverse the 4-hour bullish value gap, so I was kind of expecting price to come lower, right? So this ended up inversing the 4-hour. On the higher time frame, we were kind of reaching the all-time highs, which is why I was expecting price to come up higher. But I was thinking we'll kind of ignore that and still pump up higher. Also, if I want to take shorts, I'd want to see price come up higher to the 1-hour slash equilibrium of the range as well to first see what happens when I open, right? And this is by far the fastest trade I've ever taken. I'm going to show it down below over here. Literally played out in a matter of like 30 seconds, and we pumped up pretty higher. And yeah, so we see that over here we had open pretty much go up super fast high, right? It wasn't like any entries that we could have really taken. So what I was pretty much waiting at that moment is I might see some sort of a continuation long, either have a 5 or 15-minute fair value gap open up and then price to retrace down there and then get an IFUG back up higher for a continuation, which is what we had over here, right? So I said for the first trade, as we see, we pumped up like crazy at market open. We opened up this new 5-minute fair value gap. So my condition for this was to see if this 5-minute is going to hold up or not, because if this 5-minute is going to close, I was expecting all this low risk liquidity to get taken out and price coming down below, because we did inverse the 4-hour, but on the higher time frame I was still bullish, so I was kind of ignoring that, and this was more of a discretionary also play. So what I said was, as we tapped into this 5-minute and we immediately inversed this 2-minute inversion fair value gap, so I took that 2-minute targeting the next 1 hour over here and this line, which was a 15-minute, right? And the problem was it was so quick that I didn't even have time to set my TP to the right place, because I took my 2-minute inversion over here, right? As I was setting up my stop loss, my take profit was literally at this box where it was supposed to be up above over here. At the 15-minute, that was an extra like 30 points or 20 points, so that was going to be a good decent chunk of money that I missed out on. But this trade just played out super nice, super well, and yeah, this was a very nice continuation long on Monday. Tuesday we had CPI, and I did the CPI method. If you guys don't know what it is, comment down below. I can make a video for you guys, and you might know or not know it. And there's a lot of people that kind of give out their CPI methods. Mine is very similar to that, but I kind of add a little bit of a twist to it to be extra safe. And I would say the CPI method is very high win rate. It's almost like 90 to 95% win rate. Like, it works most of the time, specifically with the way I set it up. And yeah, in my opinion, there's like a money glitch. You could pass accounts left, right, up, and center. I even took this on my actual funder account, and I made some money off of it. It was pretty wild. Like, it was really crazy, right? So I took this. Again, I can make a video on it later, so nothing really to go over here. I did my CPI method, but there was this A plus setup that I didn't take because I was already done for the day. I won on my trade, so there was no need for me to take this. But this was super clean. If you guys did take this, just to quickly go over what happened, I said there was this A plus setup that happened. We see that price ended up dumping lower after the news and market open, leaving lots of low resistance liquidity up over here, leaving relative equal highs all the way up above over there, and a 5/15-minute above us. We came down to the very discounted 15-minute, which was this line over here, and the trade to the left was invalid because we were inside of a 5-minute over here as we were kind of coming up higher. So we were supposed to ignore that because the 5-minute never ended up closing. So we ignore that, and then we have a resweep, right? And then we immediately have a V-shaped recovery and close above that 1 minute with lots of displacement, right? So I didn't take this again because I said I already won on the day, but this was super clean, super A plus setup. You could target the 5-minute, the 15-minute, the data high, or even all the way up above. It just really depends on how much conviction you had on this trade. If I was to take this, I would have probably took majority of my profits at this 5 minute and then held the rest to this 15-minute box over here. I wouldn't say I would hold it all the way up above to that high, because that would be like an entire like 2 hour move or whatever. But it also played out, took out the data high, and we all even went up all the way up over here. So yeah, this was a very, very good setup. Now on Wednesday, this was my day where I kind of messed up a little bit. We had a lot of things going on this day. I was supposed to be, and let me just go into it actually before I even say anything, okay? So as for the bias, right, we were bearish for the day. We inversed the 4 hour, then we dumped. We do have a data high that we kind of opened up at 8:30, which was I believe PPI. So I maybe want to see that get taken out first, and then the low resistance liquidity below us is good draw on liquidity, and the lows over here. So we'll see kind of how the market opens. This was during the market, before market open. I kind of wrote this up, and I said, well, I also have lots of inefficiency up above. So we'll see, respecting all the bearish fair gaps and disrespecting bullish. So I'm kind of expecting price to come up lower. And this is kind of what after. So I said, so after a few hours we did dump, and the one thing to know is if there is a data high / low, it doesn't have to get taken out the same minute or the same day. Instead of focus more on drawn liquidity, which was more obvious, right? For example, today we inversed the 4 hour, we opened the 1 hour in London, which is what we see over here. We retraced into it and start to respect it immediately, right? And we had so much low resistance liquidity over here and over here below us. All of these lines are just lows that are literally stacked next to each other, so it's super obvious low resistance liquidity, right? And yeah, this was very, very obvious drawn liquidity. So now for entries, yes, we see a lot of entries, but I can explain. Okay, so first trade that I have, right? So we ended up dumping, right? No entries at the beginning. We opened up a 15-minute, so my condition was for price to come up to the 15-minute, right? And then we'll take some sort of a short down below, right? So this is what happened, right? So I said for the first trade, this was a pretty good trade, right? Not sure why it didn't play out. I was on the phone while doing a work ticket, so I wasn't fully focused, which kind of messed me up a lot. And I took this 1 minute inversion, right? So as we tap into the 15-minute, we took out this high, right? And the 15-minute got tapped. We immediately come down inversion this 1 minute, right? So I took this 1 minute, and I was targeting all this low resistance liquidity and this internal low as the higher time frame lows. Got stopped out. I was mad because this trade was pretty good, and I was on the phone and got pretty mad. So I re-entered to the opposite trade, which is really, really bad. Like, this is what I messed up super bad, right? That's the one thing about me. I don't know why, but I just cannot trade so well on my phone, like especially when I'm doing things or I'm like outside doing something. At this moment I was on work doing a specific ticket, so I was kind of in the middle of doing the work and kind of looking at the chart, so I wasn't kind of fully dialed in. Potentially I might have avoided this to see like a little resweep or something, but again, that's just all hindsight. But this is kind of a lesson for me. I don't, try to take those trades when you're on the phone, especially when you're busy trying to do something, right? So this was super stupid. I just re-entered on an opposite direction, thinking it might go up higher, right, just to make up that loss. Super, super dumb. Like, this was very, very bad, right? So anyways, second trade, right, as we got that sweep, right, we ended up taking out that internal high. I then entered off of a CISD. I rarely enter off of CISDs, but this was just super obvious. There was no inversions. There was no there's no 30-second. There was no 1 minute. No fair value gaps for us to inverse. But as we took out that internal high for a resweep, this was just super obvious. We opened up a 5 minute and a 15 minute over here. So I was like, okay, this is just too obvious. There's no way I can't take. Like, I shouldn't take this. Right. So I instead, as this candle ended up closing below, I took the CISD entry. Right, stops below the highs, and the only bad part about it is we ended up kind of dumping here. And since I was already down on the day from these the second trade that I took, which made me be down a little extra than what I wanted to, right? This was the emotional thing that I did, right? I exited majority of my position over here, which was not supposed to be a thing that I should have done, because originally this 5 minute that we had over here ended up getting inversed over here, and then we just had a little retracement back up, and then we had continued to dump lower. So I potentially could have been done on the day right here, but just because I was already down on the day from these two trades, I kind of just wanted to take out something else. So I was break even on the day after this trade, right? And then we still left all this low resistance liquidity over here, right? We had a little minor pullback, so I re-entered again, and I just kind of targeted this low-hanging fruit over here. This is just a quick scalp, and this isn't, again, really a good thing, because I was, again, on my phone, on a way for a ticket, wasn't really paying much attention to it. So this is really not that good of a trade that I took. And then finally we have this one last trade, right? What happened here was after we kind of dumped, um, we opened up another 15-minute, which is this box over here, right? So I said we retraced to the 15-minute again, got an immediate 1 minute right here inversion. So I kind of just scalped this because we had a 5-minute over here. So I was like, okay, this is going to be a quick 1-to-1 ratio, right? So I took this 1 minute entry, stops above the high, took out majority of my position over here, which is, again, you could say it was good, but I was just kind of trying to scalp on the day because I didn't want to like be down again on the day, because I already took, like, in my head, in the back of my head, I took those 2 losses and I just barely made it back to break even. And now I took a small win over here, and I was like, you know what, let me just take a quick win here too. And I took another small win over here, and price ended up absolutely dumping like crazy again. This was just super emotional. I was just not having a good day, and I was just kind of all over the place. And fifth trade over here, final trade, this was pretty tough. Like, I took so many trades this day, and I said this was kind of crazy too. We kept accumulating back and forth. So this is like an AMD model, right? We left equal lows below with a 1 hour below. We came up to tap the 15-minute after sweeping both of these internal highs, and we immediately dumped. So I took the close of that candle, which was pretty much just got break even right away, because I was still targeting this low and this 1 hour below us. That's what I thought we were gonna go after this crazy reaction. So I entered off a little bit of a pullback over here and got immediately break even as this internal low got taken. So that was about it. And we had another A plus setup over here, but I didn't take it because I was just super drained. I'm like, you know what, I'll be done for the day. I'm just super done. I ended up being up on the day, but a lot of mistakes made because I was on my phone. So that's kind of quick lesson for you guys to take, right? Do not trade while you're doing something. You have to be fully dialed in, fully focused on what you're doing. Don't like be doing 10 different things at the same time, kind of how I was doing it, which is what made me be messed up. But that's not excuses. That's why I journal all of this, for me to keep in the back of my head and, not to do the same mistake again. And Thursday was interesting. We just got 2 break evens on the day. Pretty tough, I'm not gonna lie. So again, this was a pre-market that I wrote up. I said bias, obviously bullish bias. Pre-market pumped over 350 points. So interesting to see what will happen, but I am needing price to come down because we had a lot of imbalances over here, right? So I said probably come down to the 1 hour to take any continuations, or it keeps pumping up and potentially open up at 5/15 minutes to take a continuation. If previous day high gets swept, potential next short to the 1 hour over here, but we'll see. You're gonna have to just wait and be extra patient, right? And then a few minutes later, I said, well, previous day high got taken already. I need to see what open does. Ideally, we go lower. There's so many imbalances, or open the new 1 hour over here to retrace to, and then we'll take a long, right? So what ended up happening here was first trade. So I said we tapped it. We opened up a 30-minute fair value gap over here after taking out the previous day high. So I said we tapped into 30-minute below us. We opened up a 5-minute above, and we pumped right away, immediately inversing with a V-shaped recovery. I love the displacement, so I took the 5-minute inversion, went break even at this internal high, and I unfortunately got break even, but it looked way too good not to take. I was expecting price to rip up higher since we already pumped up so much. So I wasn't expecting price to do a deep retracement, but it was a good trade that I take pretty much any day. But there's also another opportunity down below over here, which is a 1-minute inversion, but I didn't really like it because that 1 minute I believe was inside of a 2 and a 3 minute, so it was a little bit of a mess. If you had a very strong discretion, you would have taken this, but I was just kind of being extra patient and waiting for the 5 minute to close instead. So then what happened was, after we took out that internal high, we started to kind of dump below, right? So I said we ended up sweeping the internal high. We had a very good wick reaction off of it. Then we started to dump, and I wanted to take that 1-minute inversion over here and target the 4 hour below us over here. Unfortunately, the close was kind of bad, but I did take it for low risk. I went break even again as soon as this internal low got taken. Unfortunately, we got second break even of the day, and this is kind of expected as we pumped 350 plus points overnight, so the chop is expected, and the bias did play out just as I thought. Overall, kind of just double disciplined day, right? So I was pretty much fine with that. And Friday, oh my god, Friday was insane. I don't know if anyone in the Discord saw this trade, but this was pretty bad, right? So this was pre-market. I said bullish bias, we rebalanced to the equilibrium of the range, and now we're inversing bearish. We inverted the 4/1 hour, and I'm expecting higher prices here. Maybe at open come down to the 1 hour, right? Tap one of these imbalances, and or maybe even sweep a London low over here, and then kind of get a continuation higher. Although we did still leave relative equal lows at the 4 hour below over here, which, where was it? Yeah, over here. But I was still kind of just expecting prices to go up higher, and I was super bullish. Fortunately, my bias just was completely wrong on the day, which is totally fine. You do not need to be right on the biases all the time. But as you guys can see this trade, right, you'll probably be like, how did I, lose on this trade, or how did I not win, right? So this was pretty hectic, I would say, because what happened first was at open, we kind of came up high, right? We tapped into the premium 15-minute, right? And I saw that we opened up this 1 minute fair value gap over here. We formed a lot of low resistance liquidity pre-market, so I was like, you know what, at the moment price isn't really trying to go up higher. It's kind of just stalling at this level, so I was like, potentially I want to see price come down lower to take out all this low resistance liquidity and potentially come up to the equilibrium of the range, or 4 hour over here, and then probably take continuation longs. And in the meantime, this 1 minute inversion would be really good, right? Because there's an internal low over here, and I'll go break even, targeting this low resistance liquidity and potentially holding runners to the equilibrium in the 4 hour, right? So this was pretty brutal because I took this 1 minute inversion, right? Super confident, right? I put my stop over here. Everything was looked really nice, and as we kind of started to come out lower, right, we took out this internal low, so I immediately went break even. And as you guys could see, we literally just ticked, like, it wasn't even like, it was literally 0.25 ticks, right? It was literally that much of a difference how I got break even, right? We went break even over here, price immediately just came up higher, took us out, and then we ended up just dumping for the rest of the day. That was just crazy, right? But again, this is just part of trading, right? I wasn't really necessarily mad at the moment because I was like, it's whatever. Like, I was correct on the direction. This is just unfortunate. Just whatever happens, right? I'm fine. I'm not that mad. But this is where I kind of got mad, right? So after that happened, we ended up dumping, as you guys could see, right? We just dumped a lot, right? It was a very dump bearish day type of day. So after we did that, we kept on dumping until we hit this 4 hour fair value gap over here, right? So what I did then after that is I said, as we kept dumping, we tapped into the very discounted 4 hour fair value gap, and we left many imbalances up above. And like I said, I was bullish on the day, so I was like, okay, potentially this could be the play, and this is the trade I pretty much take any day, because this reaction is super nice, right? We tapped in the 4 hour, and we immediately inversed this 2 minute with lots of displacement. So I was like, this is really good. I put up risk on this trade. I was targeting this simple 5 minute, and this 15 minute and this 5 minute over here, just a quick mech long, nothing too crazy. I wasn't targeting again the all-time highs again or something like that. But unfortunately, this was an L, and this is where I kind of started to get a little bit emotional and mad. And this is where I did the same mistake that I did on Wednesday by re-entering, right? So this is what happened, right? I said, as this trade failed, this is the mistake that I do, right? After I took that loss, I immediately reversed this position, thinking that price will not go lower, because I was wrong with the lows, and we had a big reaction, a very big displacement candle back down lower. We inversed this 1 minute, so I was like, okay, you know what? I'm probably wrong on the longs. We're gonna go lower, so let me just inverse my position. And the technicals of this trade was pretty much fine. We inversed the 1 minute with heavy momentum. I should have waited for that little retrace over here and then entered off of it, but I thought we would just dump massively after this candle. And like I said over here, my main mistake here is I immediately entered this without taking a little cooler, right? As if now I needed to get up for my setup for at least 5 minutes, take a walk, cool off after an L, so I don't do this BS. The trade ended up playing out, but I exited super early on the loss over here, right? I was just super emotional at this time. I didn't want to lose more, so I took this short, and I literally just exited on a pullback, which is absolutely insane. Like, it was just crazy. Like, the fact that I literally just manually exited over here, and then price just kind of flushed, like it just dumped another like almost 200 points or something like that. And that just like that took me, I'm like, yo, there was just like no way. Like, I literally got break even on this super clean trade, then I lost on an A+ setup, and then I just re-inversed my position, which the problem was that I re-inversed it way too fast. But another problem was that I just exited, even though the technicals were fine because I was already emotional from this L. So if I would have just, held an extra 1 or 2 minutes, I would have been chilling. I would have won break even after this level got hit. It would have held all of that, been up in the day, and would have been done, right? So that was pretty much the whole week. This is what I took, right? Very, very informative, I believe. A lot of mistakes that I did for Friday and Wednesday, pretty much the same mistakes, right? Do not ever, when you take an L, go and try to reinverse your position, right? Do not ever do that. That's the worst thing you could do, right? Because you already took an L, you're already emotional, and you're gonna do something stupid, which is what I did over here. Made me lose an extra amount that I shouldn't have lost, and yeah. So a very good note for you guys to take is if you guys take a loss, right, and you could still have one more trade or whatever, just take a 5-minute breather, right? Just get up, walk, do something for 5 minutes, get up from your setup, cool off a little bit, and come back with at least a little bit of a fresher mind rather than being immediately back into the trade. That's like the worst thing you could do, right? So that's about it for this video, guys. If you guys have any questions about the trades that I took, why I took them, and things like that, comment down below. Join my free Discord, link is going to be in the description, and I will see you guys in the next video.